We used to say that seeing is believing. Today, visual evidence is obsolete. We have entered an era where our perception can no longer be trusted to distinguish between a recorded memory and a calculated pixel. If you cannot trust the voice on the phone, the face on the screen, or the feet in your hand, what happens to our collective sense of reality? In the beginning, computers were not designed to simulate life. They were designed to compute. The word computer once referred to a profession, humans, mostly women, performing complex mathematical calculations by hand. When machines took over this labor, we didn't just automate the math. We began using psychological terms to describe silicon and copper. This linguistic shift found its first radical proof of concept in 1966 with ELIZA. Joseph Weizenbaum created a simple text-based script designed to parody a psychotherapist. It possessed no understanding, no consciousness, and certainly no empathy. Yet the results shocked the maker. Users felt deeply understood. They shared their innermost secrets with a few lines of code. In my conversation with researcher Elke Brocker-Klei, we discussed how quickly humans default to treating digital interfaces as social agents.
With GPT-based chat systems and large language models, I think they've brought a crucial shift. The interaction now feels much more natural. I mean, people had interacted with avatars before, of course, but they were often scripted, or there was another human being behind the avatar, so you could actually have a conversation. But this new dimension, the fact that these systems can generate language that sounds as if a real person were behind it, has opened up something entirely new. So now it doesn't just resemble interpersonal communication, it almost makes you forget you're talking to a machine. And I think that creates the conditions for people to form those parasocial relationships they find so fascinating, to develop a feeling of connection with an artificial entity that isn't actually a real conversational partner. For me, that's the biggest change. We now have systems that can really engage in dialogue, making a whole new kind of interaction possible. And that can bring opportunities, but risks too.
We don't just observe artificial intelligence, we project ourselves onto it. We project our longing, our loneliness, and our fears. We look at an algorithm and see consciousness not because the machine is advanced, but because our capacity for anthropomorphism is limitless. We desperately want the void to look back at us. And what better way than to give it a body then? This design choice isn't a futuristic concept. It is slowly occupying our physical spaces. In the Middelburg, at the Loeb department store, a holographic assistant named Amélie is already interacting with human customers.
By now we've gotten used to computers talking to us, but 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, that was basically unthinkable. And the more human these systems become, the more they trigger our tendency to anthropomorphize them. So we need to draw a clear line here between anthropomorphizing as a psychological process and anthropomorphizing as a design strategy.
Right away, it's obvious she isn't real. And I think the next step, or the hard part, will be when you can't really tell the difference anymore. Right now, of course, you can tell. You know you're talking to a robot, to something artificial. And I think that step is going to be really interesting.
Take a look. What did you think? That instinct didn't switch off, did it? The more human something looks, the stronger the pull. Our perception isn't neutral. It was never designed to be. I ran a small study, 3 digital figures, 1 question. describe their personality. People answered reserved, calculating, warm, shy, cold. Entire inner lives projected onto images that have no inner life at all. When the pioneers of this technological revolution are asked about the future they're building for the next generation, there's only heavy, profound hesitation from the very architects of our digital reality.
What do you tell them is going to be of value? Well,
But what happens when this projection is scaled to a global infrastructure? We're no longer navigating an internet built by humans for humans. Every day, infinite scrolls of automated content are generated by the algorithms to capture the only currency that matters, our attention. The digital landscape has become an uninterpretable mass of hyper-perfection and absolute absurdity, scrolling past us at a speed our biology cannot comprehend. And here lies the ultimate irony. We treat these systems as external entities, as gods, monsters, tools, but they're made of us. Every word you typed, every image you uploaded, every digital footprint you left behind without reading the fine print has been harvested. We have been stripped down into raw training data, bought and sold in massive aggregates to feed the next iteration of the model. We're not just users of the machine, we're its data set. Which brings us to this very moment. For the past few minutes, you likely assumed you were listening to a human creator reflecting on the world. You trusted your perception. Well, I hate to break it to you, but this voice is a synthesized clone. This face is an algorithmic generation. A large portion of the essay you just consumed is output from the exact machines you might have thought you could recognize instantly. We have reached a point where artificial intelligence is so deeply integrated, so perfectly polished, that our senses are obsolete instruments. We can no longer distinguish between the simulated and the real. We're leaving the era of human documentation and entering an unverified simulation. The architecture is complete, the feeds are endless, and now every time you look at a screen, perhaps you will ask yourself,